All right, so I forgot to start the recording right here at the beginning, but let's just talk about this. What I just imported was a Lazarus or Lazarus right. It's just the one where Lazarus is scooting to the right, at least from our perspective, I guess. So choose that one, and then what you get is this animation. We changed the animation speed to 15 and then tried it, and you can see he's kind of sliding to the right. All right, so we want to give this a name, so we'll call this one sprite. Laz right. Okay. So it's the Lazarus sprite just scooting to the right. We note though that the background color is kind of messed up. It's this awful green thing. Note too that the animation is big, right? It's not just one square, it's actually 4 squares. The reason why they do 4 squares is because we kind of stray up into this part of the screen when he's in the middle of his slide. He jumps up a little bit, right? So if we look here at this high point, he's kind of overlapping into this square over here. So that's why they give us a little bit more room with the animation. But what that means though is we have to change the origin. Let's go back to this one. We want to keep the origin of all of these just above Lazarus's left ear, or Lazarus in our perspective, left ear. And we need to keep that in all the different Lazarus sprites we're making today. Okay? So it's important that we move this. Remember, our grid size is 40 by 40. So we'll leave the x the same, but for the y, we're going to change that to 40. And see what happens. See how it moves it down just above his left ear? Okay, so that's the first thing you have to do to get these to line up. Is always on all of these animations, we've got to make sure the origin is right above his ear. Next thing, we have to get rid of a color. So we go to Edit Sprite. And I think we'll have to do these all individually. Yeah, I think so. So you just click on this one. Remember, this is the color removal tool. And you just click on the color you want to remove, and ta-da, it's gone. So same thing here. So just go through each of your sprites and get rid of the temporary background color with the transparent color, the color that you can see through. It's weird calling it a color, I suppose, but now we have an animation that is clear. Let me pause here. So here's our little grape guy. We're trying to we're going to just create all the Lazarus sprites. So since we're in sprite creation mode, we'll just stay in that mode for a while. Okay, so the next sprite to make would be maybe up and to the right. So we say create or jump right. That's this one. So we call this one sprite Laz jump right. Okay, so we're going to the right. Sprite Laz jump right. Where's that located? Well, again, it's out in our classes folder. But let's go find that. Lazarus jump right. There it is. So choose that one. And we'll see what that one looks like. If you look at it, like I say, again, set your animation speed to 15. And what you'll notice is that it'll jump up and to the right. So I'm just going to play it once so you can see the animation. Here I say jump. See how he jumps up and to the right? He's just bouncing back and forth. Let's change that to loop. See how he just jumps up one square? Now he should be sitting on a box at that point. So that's up and to the right. So we just call that jump right. Okay. Yeah, the origin, we got to go to the first slide, or the first frame, and say, well, where should the origin be? And that's correct. We do need to change that. We need to move the y coordinate down to 40. Remember, if you add to y, it moves it down the screen. And so now this one will be in line with the standing Lazarus, because what's always going to happen is that you have the standing Lazarus, and it will change into one of these other types depending on what key you press and what's around it. So again, move that origin down there. And then do the same thing we did when we were editing. We want to remove that background color. So again, this one here. This one here, this one. And I'm just clicking through the frames, getting rid of that color. Okay, so now we have our next sprite ready to go. Now what we want to do is create our left sprites. We have one that just slides to the left and then one that jumps up and to the left. So let's do those two sprites. Same process. We create the sprite. We import it. And this one's just going to be sliding to the left, so that one. Once you have your sprite in here, you have to remember we have to change two things. We have to change the animation speed from 0 to 15. But notice that Lazarus is starting on the left side, or on the right side of this box. That means we have to move this just above Lazarus' left ear for all the sprites to line up. So what you can do is you can just say center, middle center. Okay. So you can choose that from the list. Or you could just type in 4040, either one. But that moves the origin to the right spot, right above his left ear. So we've got the speed set. We've got the origin set. Now what we need to do is get rid of that color again. So we go to Edit Image, grab the Color Removal tool, and just click on that color we want to get rid of. Make it transparent so that we can see through. These old sprites, transparent color didn't exist at that time, I guess. Okay, so now we have the one that scoots to the right. We didn't name it, it looks like. So let's make sure we get the name right. So we say sprite Laz left. Okay. So we're moving to the left. Play the little animation. That looks pretty good. Okay. Finally, we need Laz jumping up and to the left. So we create another sprite, create sprite. And we say, well, let's name it first so I don't forget. So sprite Laz jump left. Okay. And here we're going to import the jump left sprite. That's that one. And again, we want to move that origin above Laz's left ear. So again, we can just say center, middle center. So now we've got the origin down here where it needs to be. We have to set the animation speed again to 15. If we run it now, we see he's jumping off to the left. Yeah, so that's what the animation is supposed to do. He'll end up on top of a box eventually, right? And then, again, we have to edit it to get rid of that color. So I'm just getting rid of the color. Oops. Let me try that again. Yeah, so make sure to click on the color tool, color removal tool. And we're just going through and whacking a green color. I actually have a green screen at home. I'm going to use it for video production, and so that should be interesting. Okay. So now we have all our sprites. And now we can start making objects. Now what's different about this game from other games is we're going to have different objects for each of these sprites. Even though they're all Lazaruses, we're going to have different types of Lazaruses. So this is the first time we're doing that. And that might be a little confusing. Okay. So Let's go make our objects then. We'll start with the right moving Lazarus. Okay. So we'll create the object. And again, you really have to be careful on these names. I would leave the OBJ at the beginning. I see a lot of people are just kind of getting kind of lackadaisical, and they're saying, well, I'm not going to rename this. I'll just leave it whatever the default name is. That's not going to get you a 4. That's sloppy programming. So if you want to get a 4, don't do that. But you say Laz right. Okay, so just like the sprite, the name matches up. So we're making this object Laz right, and we choose sprite Laz right. See, the names line up. Okay, so we have object Laz right. Now what's going to be weird about this object, it doesn't interact with anything. All it does is animate, and then at the end of the animation it changes itself into something. So so now that we have the object, we can put a key press in object Laz stand. So let's try that. Here's object Laz stand. We're going to add a, I wonder what I should do. I should do let's try a key pressed event. And again, we're using the right arrow, or you can use the D key if you want to do that. But let's just use the right arrow. What should happen when the user presses the right arrow? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. What we do is we just change objects. See this one here? Change instance. So we're going to change from ourself, which is the standing Lazarus, I'm going to change it into the Lazarus that goes to the right. So change instance. So we're just taking one object and replacing it with another. Okay, so let's try that. See what that looks like. It's going to look kind of funny. Let me show you what happens. So he just gets caught in that loop. It could be a little bit slow. You might have to speed up our frame rate a bit, but for now, I suppose that's okay. Yeah. But you see how it repeats over and over. It gets stuck there and just repeats the animation over and over. So at some point, we need to, at the end of this animation, we need to turn Lazarus back into a standing Lazarus again. Okay. So that means we have to go to the right moving Lazarus here. And we're going to add an event, and we've used this event before, but this one's called other animation end. So at the end of that animation, we only want it to animate once. What do we want to happen? Yeah, we change instance back into the standing Lazarus, the one that's not moving. Okay. So we're only switching to that Laz right object for just a short time, and then it switches right back. And then you're in that new location. So if we try it now, you find that it doesn't quite work the way you want. So I go right. Oop. The animation was nice and pretty, but we forgot to move Lazarus. Okay? See how he jumps once and then he goes back to where he started. So that's not going to be very useful. Yeah, question? Yeah. What's the question?
I think I did it wrong, but when I do it, oh wait, no, I fixed it.
Yeah, it looks like it works. Okay, so we turn into the Laz right for a while, and then when we get to the animation, that's where we're here now, then we turn back into Laz stand. But we have to remember to move it. So when do we move it? Ooh, this is a problem, because yeah, I think what we can do is, well, let's just try this. See, the problem is once you change to this standing Lazarus, nothing else happens. You can put all the stuff you want down here, and then it will just ignore all that, I think. But we'll do an experiment. What we'll do is we'll say jump to position, after we do the change to see if this change actually happens. And again, we're going to the right, so we say 40 relative. That will move us 1 squared to the right. And for y, we just say 0, because we're not changing our vertical position, we're just changing our horizontal position. You can say relative just to be consistent, but adding 0 to something means it doesn't change. Okay, so we're here again. Where is this? This is in Object Las Right Animation End. Okay, at the end of the animation, we switch back to Las Stand, but then we jump to the right. I don't think this is going to work because I think once we change here, this will never get executed. But let's try it and see. Oh, it does work. Okay, so what that tells me. Oh, it does work. Look at that. What that tells me is that it doesn't change it right away. It waits until a little bit later and does this first before it does that, even though they're in a different order. So I wonder how they get around that. That's interesting. So it tells me a little bit about the game engine. But now we have this yeah, so if we run this now, we can move to the right, we can move to the right. But then this is where it kind of messes up. We move to the right. Oh, see how he was able to jump right into that wall? In fact, that he can just jump to the right through all the walls, okay? So that's not very good, but we'll fix that momentarily, okay? All right, so I guess the next one we need then is this ability to jump up and to the right, because if there's a wall there, we want to jump up and to the right. So let's make that object next. So say create object. And I'll call this one object las jump right. So we're jumping up and to the right. Okay. So we know the sprite we need. We made the sprite already. It's the jump right one. Okay, that one. Okay. And that's about it, I think. So we have that. So now, here too, at the end of the animation, we want to end up to the right, but now we want to end up 1 box higher. So I would also here add a animation end event. So you say other animation end. Here's the end of the animation. And what do we do at the end of the animation? Well, we change ourselves back into the standing Lazarus again, just like the other one, this one. But we also have to move it, right? This time we're moving 1 to the right and 1 and up 1. Let's just try this now and see what happens. Well, now let's try to fix this now. So then we say jump to a point. And where are we jumping to? Well, we're going to the right, so we add 40 to x. But we're also going up the screen. And remember, y is upside down. It grows positive down. So for us to go up, we have to say negative 40. Relative means to add negative 40 to it. It's the same thing as just subtracting 40 from its position. Okay? But then the question is, how do we actually start this? Because it starts with the same key press, the right key press. The only thing that's different is that there's a box in the way or a wall in the way or something. So we go to Object Las Stand. We have to check something before we go right. We can't just go right. We have to check to see if there's an object at a specific position. So, it used to be called check, but they don't call it anymore. They call it that. We'll say instance. And here it says, if any object at place, here, if object at place. So I think we're going to do this one. And we're looking to the right. We want to look to the right of this thing. So put that before here. Let's change instance. And what we're looking for is object walls. Okay? We're trying to see if there's a wall to our right. Well, to look to the right, we have to add 40 to our current position. So we say 40 relative. Okay, so before we change to Laz right, we have to make sure there's not a wall there. So if there is, let's keep it positive. There's not a wall there. So make sure to click on not. If you get it backwards, then it doesn't work. Okay? If it's not a wall, if there's not a wall to our right, that's what we're saying here in English, then we just want to move to the right. There's no wall there. We just move to the right. Laz right? Okay. Object. What are you looking at? Animation end? So we have Laz right. Yeah, and again, we're just looking at animation end of Laz right. You jump to that point, you change to the standing Lazarus, and then you move to that point. Yeah, question? Jump right? Okay, so jump right is very similar, right? We still change to Laz stand. This is the animation end event for Laz right. Okay? And then these are our numbers, okay? So we go back to the standing Lazarus, right? And we're trying to figure out which animation to play. Do we do the one that goes to the right or the one up to the right? Yeah, question.
My animation's off.
Yeah, it's probably your origin. So double check your origin. Make sure that the origin is above the right ear or left ear of Lazarus. It has to be right above his left ear. Okay, so let me just try this, and I'll show you what the complete thing is, and then I'll tell you some of the common mistakes people make. Okay, so if there's not a wall there, we have to check another spot. Or if there is a wall there, we have to check another spot. So here, what we want to do is we say else. Okay? So we'll grab the else, and again, put it right here in the bottom of this if statement. So we've already determined that there is a wall there. If we get to here, that means we're checking to see if there's not a wall. We do this. If there is a wall, then we do that. Okay. So what do? Well, we have to check again. If object at place, so instance again. This one. If object at place, so we want to drag it over here. Let me get it on screen. Drag it right to the right of the else. So it's controlled by the else. And it's, again, what we're doing is we're checking for the wall. But this time we have to check if it's up and to the right. So to the right means you go 40 to the right. And then up, well, you would say negative 40 relative. Okay. So we're trying to see if there's a box to our right up one square. Now, if that's true, see, I'm not clicking on not here. If there's a wall there, then we don't want anything. So I think we want to say not here. If there's not a wall there, we've already determined that there is a wall right next to us, but now we're looking up above that square. And if there's not a wall there, then that's when we jump up and to the right. So that's how we determine. So we change instance again. See that? And we want to change to our up and to the right one. So Laz object Laz jump right. All right. Now in the case where there's walls in both of those places, that means you don't go to the right. You just stop. Because there's two walls there stacked up, and you can't jump up two squares. Let's try it and see what happens. So here. Now, my hope is that it'll see that square there, and it'll say, okay, I can't go to the right, but I can go up and to the right. Didn't see it, right? It goes right through. Disappears. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, question. Oh, invisible staircase. It's seeing walls where there isn't.
I mean, it doesn't disappear, it goes behind it.
Behind it. Oh, okay. So we got our layers kind of messed up. So, yeah, so it's not working yet. So let's just figure out what's wrong. Let's say, okay, so if there's an object, there's a wall. If there's not a wall to our right, then we should go here. Otherwise, if there's not a wall here, up and to the right, we're saying not, then we go jump right. But it's still jumping to the right even when there's a wall in the way. It's like it can't see our walls. If object at place. Okay, so let me say relative here. Maybe that makes a difference. I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, that's probably the problem. I didn't say relative. Yeah, see that? It worked that time. Okay. Okay. So we'll pause here, and I'll come around and figure out what's wrong. So I'm pausing the video. Okay, so we're back. We're taking a look at the left side. Let me just show you this one more time, just so you know. This is in the right key. When you're hitting to the right, when they press the right key, you check to see if there's a wall there. If there's not, then just go to the right. But if there is a wall to the right, then look up above that wall to see if there's a wall above it. And if there's not, and then you jump right. Otherwise, you don't do anything. You just don't move, I guess. Okay. So that's the settings. So now let's create our other objects now. So again, we have the sprites all made, but we have to build the objects. So I'm going to right click here, say create object. Here we'll do the one that scoots to the left. So say object las left. Okay. So now we're going to the left. We want to use our left sprite. And my left sprite is here. We're doing left now. So I just made an object las left, and then I associated the las left sprite to that. And then it's the same deal, right? At the end of the animation, we want to change into an object stand or object las stand, and then we want to move its position. So let's do that. So we go other, animation end. So at the end of the animation, once the animation ends, this is for object las left, then what do? Well, we change object again. And I would pick it from this list instead of typing it in, but we'll say object las stand. So we've made the animation's over. Now we want to turn back into the standing Lazarus. And then we want to move its location. So again, jump to point. This time we're going left. So remember in right we added 40. This time we have to take 40 away. That will move us to the left one. But we're not changing our vertical position at all. So we say 0 here and say relative. Okay? So we can try that and see if that works. I like trying them as soon as I code them. Doesn't work. Why didn't it work? Oh, okay. Didn't animate. Yeah, I guess because I haven't put the left key in yet. So we can't really test this yet. So let's put that left key in. Well, no, let's do this. I want to have all the pieces first. So that's las left. Let's make object las jump left. Yeah, so we're just doing the left side. The same thing we do on the right side, but we're going. It's that last one was the animation end. Yeah. So object las jump left. Okay, we're jumping left. And which sprite are we using? The left jumping sprite. Which one? That's not that one.
It's the one to the right of.
Oh, that one. Okay, so that's the one. And again, it's the same deal at the end of the animation. So we say other animation end. What do we want to do? We want to change to our standing Lazarus again. We always want to change back to that. And then this is the different part. We say jump to point. We have to go up and to the left. So to the left is 40 or minus 40. And then up is also minus 40 because y is upside down. And that'll get us in the right spot. So just to review, we go to Laz left. We add an animation end event. Choose the object Laz left or sprite Laz left. Do animation end. Change instance to object Laz stand, and then your coordinates are negative 40 relative, 0 relative. Okay? So that's for Laz left. And then for Laz right, same setup. We have animation end, but we say object Laz stand, negative 40, negative 40. And that will move us up and to the left. Okay? So that's the left side. Left, the numbers are negative 40 and 0. All right, so now we want to see if these things work. So we have to put our left key in. We haven't done that yet. Now the only thing that responds to keys is object Laz stand. So we'll go to object Laz stand. Here. We've done our right key, but now we want to do our left key. Yeah, let's do that. That might be easiest. So right-click here. So use the right button. Say duplicate event. And we'll do a key press left. Okay. But again, we don't want to introduce pasting errors into our code, so we have to be really careful over here to make sure we're looking the right way. This one's looking to the right. We have to look to the left. So we would say negative 40 instead of positive 40. So again, we're looking left. So if there's not a wall to our left, then we have to change to object Laz left, not right. Object Laz left, that's the one we want. So if there's no wall to our left, then change to the left moving Lazarus. Otherwise, so think when you see else, you should think of the word otherwise. Otherwise, there is a wall at that location, so we're going to look above it. Again, we want to look to the left, not to the right, so we have to say negative 40 here. Okay. So we say negative 40. And now we, instead of jumping right, we jump to the left. See that one? Okay? So now Lazarus is jumping left and right. Let's hope. Let's try it and see. Okay, so that's right. There's left. Hey, I can jump back and forth now. Now I'm going to see if it sees the wall and it jumps up. It does. Sees the wall again, it jumps up. Our problem is we end up hanging in midair. That's not so good, right? So now I'm just floating. Okay, so we got to fix that. I'm going to pause there. I'm going to help people fix problems, and then we'll do the next part. Okay, so what we're looking at next is we have to have the standing Lazarus look down, okay? And we'll fix that once we get done here. So at any point, if Lazarus is not on the ground, we have to get Lazarus to fall, okay? And although GameMaker supports gravity, we're not going to use that here. We're just going to give it a downward motion. So let's do that. I think this is how we do it. We say we want to do a step event. So every frame, I guess, we want to make sure that we're on the ground. So we're going to check object. That's this one. And we want to make sure we're on the ground. So we're going to look for object walls, okay? And we're going to look just below us, okay? And so to look below us, we'll leave x as 0, but for y, we're going to say 8, okay? Well, does 8 divide evenly into 40? Does it? It doesn't, does it? It does? Yeah, it does. Okay, so we'll go 8. Yeah, question?
What's the event?
The event is the step event. And we're on object last stand, okay? So we're saying if there's not a wall there, if we're in the air, we want to start falling, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to jump to point. And for x, again, we're going to say 0 relative. But for y, we're going to say 8. So if there's nothing below us, we're going to move 8 pixels at a time. So our speed is actually 8 going down. We're just simulating that. So if we're not on the ground, we should fall. But then, when we do see that we have the ground there, then we need to stop moving, right? So maybe this works. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm a little bit puzzled here. Oh, I fell through the floor immediately. Okay. Okay, I forgot to say relative. Okay.
For me, he doesn't disappear immediately, but he just still floats when we get.
He still floats, yeah. So let's see what's going on and see. Okay, so here I am. I'm jumping happily. I jump off here.
Mine works.
Yeah, it works.
It kind of looks like he weighs like 20,000 pounds because he just goes bonk.
Wonk,
Just
yeah.
stops animation midway.
Yeah, yeah, so he's falling now. Ah, look at that. I wonder if that's right. I'd like to have a little bit taller fall just so I could watch him. Yeah, question. So now we have a Lazarus that can move around and jump on things and not move around when it's not supposed to. One thing I didn't test is on the left side. I want to make sure I can't jump up 2 squares. So I go over here, I fall some more. I can't. Yeah, if you can jump up to the left, that's bad. You shouldn't be able to move it all to the left. And also check your right side too. So run over here to, ooh, that was bad too. See that? If I hit my key fast enough, I'm not quite on the ground. That's not good. We got to fix that first.
Yeah, I also noticed that. Although
Yeah.
I do think that could be a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah. So, so to fix that, see that problem? I was able to jump even though I wasn't on the ground. It's really hard to jump when you're not on the ground. There's no such thing as double jumps. Okay, that doesn't make sense. So what you do is on last stand, before we do anything, like say we're going to the right, before we do this, we have to check to see if we're on the ground. So again, we just do this check if object as at place.
Which thing are we under?
This is the key press right event. We want to make sure that we're on the ground. So we check for object wall. We want to check just right beneath us. So we say 0 relative for x, but for y we say 8, just like before. We're just trying to see if there's something there.
Do we click not or?
Here I would say if there's, here I wouldn't click on not. We want to make sure there is a wall there because we're trying to see if there is a wall there before we let them jump. This is on stand, and we're in the right key press event. So we're stand, key press right, and we're adding this if statement to the top because we want to make sure you can't jump unless you're on the ground. And then drag this over to the right. Oh, let me do it. There. Yeah, let's make sure this works though. Okay. Yeah, so if object wall 0 relative 8 relative, don't click on not, and then drag this whole big section that we coded earlier. Just drag this up to there, and that will hitch it up correctly. Ooh, wait, that's not right. See what happened to the else? It got attached to this thing. That's at the wrong level. This needs to be there. Okay. Yeah, move the else too. The else has to stay with this one, not that one. Or else it's not going to work. Yeah. Somebody got a joke. Finally, somebody got a joke. I tell all these jokes, but nobody recognizes them. You can't do double jump anymore. So if we try that jumping off and to the right and try to jump while we're in the air, so I'm just smashing it, I can't. I can still do it to the left because I haven't fixed that yet. Okay? So, okay, well, realize that you're the game programmer, okay? So you can change it if you want. It's just, it shouldn't be, especially if the wall is too high at the edges. Okay, yeah. Yeah, if it's not too high at the edges, then that's a problem. So here we have to do the same thing. We have to check to see if there's a wall beneath it. So it's the same setup. I'm just looking to the left. This is the left key I'm doing. Say relative. Yeah. And again, what happened last time, let me zoom out a bit so you can see that. I tried to put this whole thing up here thinking the else would move. Right? I grabbed that and put it there, but the else didn't move with this bottom part. You got to make sure that we scoot that one over too, or your game's not going to work right. So the structure looks like this. If this is true, do that. If that's true, do this. Otherwise, do that. Okay? Okay. So now we try it, and I think we have Lazarus moving. Hey, wow, check it out. We got it done in one day. I'll be over in a second. Okay, so here's Lazarus. I'm smashing the left key. I can't go left. I can't jump while I'm in midair. You can't jump unless you're on the ground. So that's what we want. So give it a test on your test room. See if that works. Otherwise, we're done.